Japan is one of the most polite, most organized, and most quietly unforgiving societies on the planet. You can land at Narita and embarrass yourself 6 times before you've even unpacked, without raising your voice, without being rude, without doing anything you'd think twice about at home. Some of these taboos will get you stared at. Some will get you refused service. And a few of them, and this is the part nobody warns you about, will get you actually arrested. Today, we're covering 16 taboos in Japan that could genuinely embarrass you or end your trip faster than you planned. Like and subscribe before we get into it, because number 6 alone is going to stop you mid-sentence. Number 1, touching a stranger's food with your chopsticks and passing it directly to theirs. This one feels kind and generous. It is, in Japan, one of the most disturbing things you can do at a dinner table. Passing food directly from your chopsticks to someone else's is a practice reserved exclusively for one specific ritual in Japanese culture: the passing of cremated bones at a funeral. When a body is cremated in Japan, family members use chopsticks to pass the remaining bone fragments between each other before they're placed in the urn. It's one of the most sacred and solemn moments in Japanese mourning tradition. When you casually recreate that exact gesture at a restaurant because you want to share some tempura, you're not just being sloppy with etiquette, you're miming a funeral rite at the dinner table. The person receiving the food knows exactly what it looks like. The people watching know too. Nobody's going to say anything because Japanese social culture avoids open confrontation, but the table has shifted in a way that doesn't fully recover. Always place food on someone's plate directly. Never chopstick to chopstick. The distinction is not minor. Number 2, sticking your chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice. While we're at the dinner table, let's get the second one done immediately because they're connected and both carry the same weight. Rice with chopsticks standing vertically in the center of the bowl is the offering placed in front of the deceased at a Japanese funeral altar. It's how food is presented to the dead. You will see this in Buddhist rituals, at grave sites, and in the immediate aftermath of a death in a Japanese household. The image is unmistakable, and its meaning is completely specific. Doing this casually because you're done eating and need somewhere to rest your chopsticks communicates something that can genuinely disturb people at your table, particularly older Japanese diners. It's not an overreaction on their part. It's the equivalent of someone at your dinner table casually setting up a small memorial display because they didn't want their fork to roll away. Lay them across the bowl rim, place them on the chopstick rest provided. There's always another option. There's never a reason to use this one. Number 3, blowing your nose in public. This is the one tourists get wrong most confidently because in most of the world, blowing your nose is just something you handle and move on from. In Japan, it's genuinely considered gross on a social level that runs deeper than most visitors expect. The sound of nose blowing is considered unpleasant to an extreme degree. Doing it at a restaurant table, in a meeting, on public transit, or in any shared space around others is seen as inconsiderate, unclean, and frankly, a little shocking. People around you will notice. The discomfort is real even if nobody says anything. And in Japan, nobody will say anything. What makes this stranger for visitors is that sniffling repeatedly is considered completely acceptable. You will hear people sniffling quietly on Tokyo trains throughout winter and nobody reacts. But the act of blowing and clearing your nose in public crosses a line that the quiet sniffling doesn't. Go to a bathroom, handle it privately. Come back. Japan has this opinion firmly, and it doesn't negotiate on it. Number 4, tipping anyone anywhere. For any reason, most people have heard this one. Far fewer people actually understand why it's not just unusual in Japan, but genuinely offensive. In Japan, the concept of omotenashi underpins all service culture. It roughly translates to wholehearted hospitality, the idea that excellent service is given completely and without expectation of anything beyond the agreed price. The service you receive isn't a performance that can be upgraded with extra money. It's the standard. It's the baseline. It's what the job means. When you leave extra money on a table or try to press bills into a server's hand, you're not expressing gratitude. You're implying that their standard of service is somehow beyond what was expected, which suggests you expected less, which is an insult. Or worse, it reads as pity. Either way, the money will be returned to you. A server has literally run after a tourist through a restaurant to press money back into their hand before they reach the door. The correct expression of gratitude is verbal. Gochi susama deshita after a meal. A genuine, direct thank you. That lands exactly the way it's supposed to. The extra money just creates an awkward situation for someone who did their job beautifully and doesn't want your commentary on it. Number 5, getting into an onsen with a tattoo. This is no longer a fringe rule at a few conservative bathhouses. It remains the official policy at the overwhelming majority of onsens across Japan, and the history behind it is specific enough that the ban has outlasted every cultural shift that was supposed to erode it. Tattoos in Japan have been associated with the Yakuza, organized crime groups, for over a century, not casually associated. The tattoo was a marker of belonging, of loyalty, of having crossed permanently out of respectable society. That association is so embedded in the cultural memory of public bathing spaces that no amount of Western tattoo normalization has meaningfully changed the rule. An onsen that admits tattooed guests is still the exception. The default is no, and the no is enforced. If you have tattoos and you walk in without checking, you will be asked to leave. Not harshly, politely, firmly, and finally. Some onsens now offer tattoo cover stickers at the front desk. Some have private bath options bookable separately. A small but growing number have dropped the rule entirely in tourist-heavy areas. Check every time for every location before you undress. Assuming is the mistake. If you're enjoying this so far, tap like. It helps more people find this video, and honestly, the ones coming up are where it gets genuinely strange. Subscribe so you don't miss the rest. Number 6, eating or drinking while walking. This is a big one that catches visitors completely off guard because it looks like the kind of thing nobody could possibly care about. Japan cares deeply. Eating while walking is considered careless, messy, and disrespectful to the space around you. The logic is that food deserves your full attention and that eating on the move risks creating mess in shared public space, which is everyone's responsibility to maintain. Neither justification feels dramatic until you realize the streets of Japan are extraordinarily clean, and the behavior of every person in public space is part of why. The one exception, and it is narrow, is food stalls at outdoor festivals. The format is designed for it. Everywhere else, the rule holds. You will not see salarymen eating on Tokyo sidewalks. You will not see students drinking from a can while they walk to class. If you want the convenience store onigiri, find a bench, a standing space outside the store, or wait. Walking and eating in Japan makes you immediately visible as someone who didn't do the research before arriving. Number 7, writing someone's name in red ink. This one seems so specific and so low stakes that most people assume it's a niche superstition followed by a small number of traditionally minded people. It isn't. The avoidance is widespread enough that giving someone a card or note with their name written in red ink will register as strange to most Japanese people, and for some, actively upsetting. In Japanese tradition, names on gravestones are written in red for the living members of a family and switch to black when they pass. The red name is therefore associated with the living marking of someone who has not yet died. And writing someone's name in red ink outside that context carries the uncomfortable implication of impermanence, of having one foot already in that ritual. Do not write someone's name in red. Don't address an envelope in red. Don't sign a birthday card in red ink and wonder why the energy shifted. Japan made this association centuries ago and never decided to unmake it. Number 8, talking on your phone on public transit. Japanese train culture has a concept called manner mode, and it is not a gentle suggestion. It is a social contract that every single person in the carriage is holding simultaneously and silently enforcing through collective disapproval. Phones are set to silent. Calls are not taken. If a call comes in, you either decline it or step off at the next stop, handle the call on the platform, and reboard. Conversations between traveling companions are kept low, short, and considerate. The train is not a social space. It is a shared transit environment where dozens of people are decompressing, sleeping, reading, or simply existing in quiet after long working hours. A tourist taking a loud call in a Tokyo train carriage is not going to be confronted. Nobody will say a word. What will happen is every person within earshot will turn their awareness towards you with a specific quality of Japanese public disapproval that is absolutely felt without a single word being spoken. It is one of the most efficiently uncomfortable social experiences available to the international visitor. Avoid it completely. Manner mode, always. Number 9. Wearing your indoor slippers into the bathroom, or your bathroom slippers back out. Japan has a 3-tier footwear system, and it requires active attention or you will get it wrong in front of people who notice immediately. Outdoor shoes come off at the entrance. Indoor slippers go on. Those indoor slippers are for interior floors only, specifically non-bathroom floors. When you enter a bathroom in a Japanese home, traditional restaurant, or ryokan inn, there is a separate pair of bathroom-specific slippers waiting at the door. You swap. You use the bathroom. You swap back before you leave. The tourist mistake happens in both directions. Walking from indoor slippers directly onto a tatami mat is its own problem. Tatami floors are damaged by footwear, and the rule there is bare feet or socks only. But the bathroom slipper mistake is the one that creates genuine facial reactions from hosts. Walking back to the dinner table in bathroom slippers means you have tracked the bathroom floor back to where people eat. In a culture where cleanliness is a foundational value, this isn't just embarrassing. It's the kind of mistake that gets retold. Number 10. Handing cash directly into someone's hand at a shop. At virtually every retail counter, restaurant checkout, and payment situation in Japan, there is a small tray on the counter. It exists for one purpose. You put the money on the tray. The cashier takes it from the tray. The change goes back onto the tray. You take it from the tray. The direct hand-to-hand transfer of money is avoided as a matter of hygiene, social distance, and respect. The tray eliminates unnecessary physical contact in a transaction that doesn't require it and makes the counting of money easier and more accurate for the cashier. Tourists who ignore the tray and press money directly into the cashier's hand will often find the cashier quietly redirecting it to the tray anyway. Not with a word, just with a gentle insistence that this is where the transaction happens. The tray is always there. The instruction is its own presence. Use it every time without exception, and the entire checkout experience in Japan becomes seamless. Ignore it, and you've introduced friction into a system that was specifically built to have none. Number 11. Don't overstay your welcome. In Japan, knowing when to leave is just as important as knowing how to arrive. Social gatherings are guided by an unspoken rhythm, and staying beyond the natural endpoint can quietly disrupt it. Even though hosts remain polite and accommodating, lingering too long may place an unseen burden on them. Japanese culture places high value on consideration and balance. A guest who overstays risks appearing unaware of the host's time, energy, or personal space. Unlike more direct cultures, you likely won't be told it's time to leave. Instead, subtle cues signal that the evening is winding down. Excusing yourself at the right moment shows awareness and respect. It leaves a positive impression and preserves harmony in the relationship. In Japan, a graceful departure is not just good manners, it is part of the entire social experience, reflecting thoughtfulness, timing, and an understanding of boundaries. Number 12. Never saying no directly, and not knowing what it means when they don't say it to you. This is less a taboo to avoid and more a survival skill you need immediately upon arrival. In Japan, a direct no in response to a request or offer is considered unnecessarily blunt and socially damaging. The direct refusal prioritizes your personal position over the harmony of the interaction, which runs against a cultural value so fundamental it shapes communication at every level. Instead, refusals come packaged in softening language. That might be difficult. I'll think about it. It's a little followed by a trailing pause. Every one of those phrases means no. Completely, finally, no. Number 13, taking a photo of 3 people standing in a row. Here is the one that stresses out Japanese people on a level most visitors would never predict. The superstition is specific and widely believed. In a photograph of 3 people standing in a line, the person in the middle will die before the other 2. The origin traces back to early photography in Japan when cameras could only accurately focus on the person in the center of the frame, giving them a visually prominent and slightly ominous quality in the final image. The association developed from there and has never fully left. At family gatherings, group trips, and social occasions, you will sometimes see Japanese people quietly rearranging themselves before a photo to avoid the direct line of 3. Suggesting a 3-in-a-row photo composition to a Japanese family can produce a discomfort that seems disproportionate until you know what you're accidentally proposing. 2 works, 4 works. 3 standing in a line has a history that people would rather not invoke at a birthday party. Number 14, wasting any part of a meal or leaving rice in the bowl. Japan's relationship with food is not casual. It is a country where chefs train for years to master a single dish, where rice is not a side element but a statement, where the concept of motai nai, the sin of wastefulness, applies to every grain left unfinished in a bowl. Leaving rice in your bowl at the end of a meal is noticed. In traditional settings, finishing your rice signals that the meal was satisfying and complete. Leaving it suggests inadequacy somewhere in the experience. Either the food wasn't good enough to finish, or you ordered beyond your hunger and created waste. Neither is comfortable. The broader principle extends to every part of the meal. In Japan, food is not background. It's not fuel dispensed efficiently between tasks. It's the result of skill, sourcing, and intention at every level of the supply chain. Treating it carelessly, picking at it, leaving significant portions untouched without acknowledgement lands differently here than it does anywhere else. Eat what you order what you can eat. The bowl should be empty when you're done. Number 15, giving gifts in sets of 4. Avoid the number sh. In Japan, numbers carry meanings that go far beyond mathematics, shaping everyday customs and social etiquette. The number 4 is particularly avoided because it is pronounced shai, the same word used for death. This linguistic overlap gives the number an ominous tone, making it an unlucky choice in many situations, especially when giving gifts. Presenting items in sets of 4 can unintentionally suggest misfortune or negative symbolism to the recipient. Even if your intention is thoughtful, the cultural implication may overshadow the gesture itself. For this reason, people carefully select alternative numbers when offering gifts. 8, on the other hand, is considered highly auspicious. Its shape suggests expansion, and it is associated with prosperity and growth. Choosing 8 items instead reflects positivity and good fortune. In Japan, even small details like numbers carry weight, turning a simple gift into a message of respect, awareness, and cultural sensitivity. Number 16, showing the bottom of your feet towards someone. This one sits beneath most Japan travel guides and gets almost no coverage, which makes it exactly the kind of thing that causes real, live embarrassment in a real, live situation. In Japanese culture, the bottom of the foot is the lowest and most unclean part of the body. Pointing the soles of your feet toward another person, particularly an elder or someone in a position of respect, communicates contempt with a physical directness that Japanese culture rarely uses openly. It says, without words, that this person is lower than the dirtiest part of you. This matters most when sitting, in a tatami room, in a traditional restaurant, at a tea ceremony, on the floor of a temple space. Stretching legs directly toward the host, toward an elder, or toward a sacred object in the room is a mistake that will be absorbed in silence and remembered. Cross-legged sits better. Legs folded to the side sit better. Any position that doesn't direct the soles toward another person is the right one. The floor has a hierarchy in Japan. The foot is at the bottom of it. Like and subscribe if you want more. The next video covers things Japan does better than everywhere else, and after this one, you'll understand exactly why.